Hey there, hi, welcome back to another episode of Sit and Spin with me, your host, Joe Royland. I know it's been a little bit lengthier of an absence than I'd planned to. This parenting thing, well, who knew that it was going to take up so much more time than I have these days? But it's very rewarding, so, you know, I gotta let that go. But trying to get back on track, because there's a ton of great stuff coming out down the pike, especially some of these upcoming weeks now that we're into March already. Jeez. There's going to be stuff coming out, maybe 1 or 2 albums a week that I want to be covering, so trying to get it back in the swing of things. Pardon me if I cock this up a little bit because I'm a little rusty. But today, starting off with some new music from this year, even though it came out back at the beginning of the year. And of course, we're talking about David Bowie and his 25th and final studio album, Blackstar, which was released back on January 8th, which also happened to be Bowie's 69th birthday, and was put out just 2 days before his tragic passing from cancer on January 10th. The album was co-produced by longtime Bowie collaborator Tony Visconti, who describes the album as a parting gift for Bowie's fans, and it's pretty spot on. It serves as a great epitaph to his career, and like his 2013 album, The Next Day, the album was recorded in secret at New York studio The Magic Shop, which if you saw our show on the Foo Fighters, Sonic Highways, they did a piece on that on their New York session. Go and check that out because it's really good. And at first the album seems kind of lean. It's just 7 tracks, clocks in at just under 42 minutes, which seems kind of short until you take into consideration some of Bowie's later 70s records, where that was kind of the norm. Records like Station to Station and Low and Heroes, that's pretty much what those records were too. And perhaps in style at least, this record is closest to them, and it's more very much art rock and experimental with elements of jazz, yet it's still very much fresh and new and seems like something completely different from Bowie. 2 of the songs on the record, Sue or A Season in Crime and Tis a Pity She Was a Whore, were previously re-released but re-recorded for this album with Bowie's sax parts. Bowie pretty much played the sax on all of his albums. That's one of the instruments he started out on. As you can see the shirt, he's holding the sax on that. They were replaced on this album by Danny McClassen, who redid all of his parts. And Sue had previously appeared as a 12-inch single and on the Nothing Has Changed compilation that came out last year. The album's first single and video, Lazarus, when that first came out, it just seemed kind of like a weird, creepy, typical Bowie video that was really awesome. But when you go back and you listen to the lyrics to it now, it just kind of almost hits you like, wow, how could I have missed that that's what he was talking about? Personally, I think it's one of the best songs from his entire career, and I really like it a lot. It was also featured in Bowie's off-Broadway musical of the same name that's out there playing now, starring, damn, I didn't write it down in my notes, but the guy who was Dexter, and then 6 Feet Under, Michael somebody, and I'm an idiot for not remembering, but there you go. Told you I'd cock this up. The record incorporates like kind of more like those jazz art rock elements, and all in all, I really like the record a lot. It's definitely something you need to kind of just sit back and absorb. It's not like a collection of singles. It's very much not meant to be pop or rock. They intentionally made it to be the way that it was, very much more an experimental project. And I like a lot of the tracks. Like I said before, Lazarus, one of my favorite tracks. The title track is great. I liked Sue when it came out before. I also like Tis a Pity She Was a Whore. Dollar Days is a great track, and the album's closing cut, I Can't Give Everything Away, which is just a like a really fitting way to end the album. It's just fantastic. So even though it's going to be probably the last real official studio release we get from Bowie, there is talk that he has other pre-recorded stuff that's in the can that's going to be coming out down the pike, as well as a bunch of reissues, which we're going to be getting to in a minute. It's just, man, what an album to go out on. Definitely, knowing I think it was coming, he really put everything he had into it, his heart and soul into it, and it shows, and it's just, what a fine record. I had to have this on vinyl, mainly a lot for the packaging. The CD is just like a white cover with the black star on it, but the vinyl is really something special. Features this die-cut star cover. It was designed by Jonathan Barnbrook, who also did Bowie's prior 3 releases, The Next Day, Reality, and Heathen, and you get the die-cut cover with a star on it. It comes in this nice, thick poly sleeve, and it's a cool idea, but I can't say that I haven't seen this somewhere previously before with a die-cut cover. But you know, that's okay. The late Scott Weiland, who we also last year, and the guys in Stone Temple Pilots, Weiland in particular, huge David Bowie fan, so I don't think they would have minded. Inside, you get this really nice booklet. It's and you're not even going to be able to see the justice to it because I have to hold it up to the light to see this embossed, glossy black print, and just awesome book. It's things like this that make vinyl so awesome and miss it. You know, I mean, you get the CD version, that's fine, just to hear the tunes, but this is art, and Bowie was very much an artist as well as a musician, and this is like the whole package of what made him so great to begin with. Bowie, as I said previously, a little bit in the previously I should say, a little bit in the last show I did, very much meant a lot to me. He was one of the first artists I remember hearing as a little kid. Space Oddity, way back in 1969. I was only 3 years old. It was one of the first songs I remember hearing. It's always been a song that personally meant a lot to me. It's a story I don't really want to get into, but all through his career I've been a big fan of Bowie and everything he's done through the years, and really gonna miss him. We will never see an artist the likes of David Bowie again, ever. I don't think the world will ever produce another one, at least not in our lifetime. But the guy was a true icon and trendsetter and genius and funny guy, and just the kind of person that I would have loved to have met. And I think he would have been just the coolest dude in the world. Would have just totally lived up to everything you've heard or thought about the guy. Shame I never get to meet him. Maybe someday in heaven. Who knows? We'll see. But if you haven't picked it up already, by all means, go out and get David Bowie's Blackstar. Fine record for the end of his career. But even though he's gone, he left a legacy of music behind. And just this past week, some great stuff happened. The first 6 David Bowie albums were reissued on vinyl individually, because these had previously been reissued as part of a box set called 5 Years. It came out last year as well. That set, while as nice as it was, and I wish I could have got it, was a little bit out of my price range. And I already had some of the things that were in it. It's the first 6 albums from Bowie, including Space Oddity, which I already have the 40th anniversary edition of. The Man Who Sold the World, Hunky Dory, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders of Mars, which again I already have the 40th anniversary of, and one of the best sounding records in my collection. It's just great. Pin-Ups, which was a covers compilation of some of Bowie's favorite music from when he was growing up as a teenager, and Aladdin Sane. And these records all sound equally as great as the previously released editions. In fact, it's actually the same vinyl, the same edition of music recordings, masterings that were put out for the 40th anniversary of Ziggy Stardust and Space Oddity that he used in these. And overall, these records have all of the original kind of textures and things that went to them. Like The Man Who Sold the World has the same kind of raised texture on the album cover, which is really kind of nice. Aladdin Sane, I haven't really split the whole thing open yet, but it has the original gatefold cover, all the original aspects of the original albums, you know, the lyrics and all the things that came with the original albums are included. One of the other cool things about most of these records, by this time Bowie had been on RCA Records, and even the inner label kind of mimics the old RCA red and white label, but instead of saying RCA in the print, it says Bowie, which is really sweet. And if you're a Bowie fan at all, if you didn't already have all these records, and I used to have them, but a former girlfriend kind of made off with most of my copies and never got them back, you know who you are. She was a big Bowie fan too, so let it go. But that's neither here nor there. Trying to find these records, copy these albums recently of late, even before Bowie's passing, has been hard. I mean, I've been searching for years to try to get like original versions of these records, and they are hard to track down unless you want to pay a lot of money or take risky online risks of purchasing from somebody that you don't know and not being able to see the condition of the album. So this was a true godsend for me, and at roughly $20 a pop for each of these, total bargain and well worth the wait and picking them up to finally have them now. So those are out now on vinyl if you are a vinyl aficionado like me, and you'll be quite happy with them, I can assure you that. And hopefully they'll, like I said earlier, there's going to be more stuff from Bowie coming out. There's probably going to be a next 5 years, although I don't know if that's what they're going to call it, for Bowie stuff, and I'll be excited to get albums like Diamond Dogs and Station to Station, Low and Heroes and all that stuff when it finally gets out. Even if it takes a year or two, I'll wait. It's be worth waiting for it. But that's our show for this week on the late great icon David Bowie and his new album Blackstar, as well as the reissues. And as I said before, I'm going to try to get back on track with getting these shows, and sorry if this one's ran a little bit long, but For David Bowie, it's worth it. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with me. And we will catch you next time on Sit and Spin. See you then. Take it easy.